What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers are active in trade talks, and most of the trade talks seem to be centered around Rui Hachimura, right? He's our most sizable tradable salary that we can send out for an Andrew Wiggins and Nick Claxton, several of these players. Not just that, but he's also a player that many teams would love to have on their roster, so he does have value where, like a Gabe Vincent, a Max Kleber, guys like that, kind of just swapping them for salary filler, or, maybe a team wouldn't be willing to take a flyer on them, but they're not really going to value that player as like a rotation piece or anything heavily like they would a Rui Hachimura. So Rui Hachimura is one of our most valuable trade pieces. He's also one of our best salary-wise, and he's an expiring contract, so there's not that risk for opposing teams where it's like, hey, if Rui doesn't work out with us, then we can just let him go. It's no big deal, right? If it does work out, then you can sign him a new contract, keep him long term. So it's kind of a win-win for the team that would take him. And with losing Rui Hachimura potentially, obviously, again, trades have to get done. Everything until it's finalized is all just speculation and rumor. But if the trade does get done and Rui Hachimura gets sent out, you need to replace him, right? And that's the thing, too, in general, right? The Lakers took two forwards in the draft and signed one on a two-way deal, right? And chances are the Lakers are going to lose multiple forwards in a deal, right? I talked about how we might have gotten Jared Vanderbilt's replacement. Well, the Lakers might have just gotten Rui Hachimura's replacement in Eric Dixon. So Eric Dixon is very comparable. He is, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan, can slot in 3 through 5, but he's kind of more 4, small ball 5, right? He's a guy that can you could utilize, especially in a small ball role. He's big, right? Think of Day'Ron Sharp, but just a better offensive player and shooter. He's not necessarily the rebounder that Day'Ron Sharp is, but it's also because he stretches the floor so much more, right? He took 7 threes a game during the regular season last year, right? So you're talking about a guy that is a volume three-point shooter, and he almost shot nearly 41% from three-point range, right? So it's hard to be because one of the knocks in the draft for him was his lack of rebounding. He averaged 5 rebounds a game, right? Well, one, Rui's not a great rebounder, but two, right, a lot of that is he's out on the perimeter most of the game, right? So it's hard to get a huge knock for him was the lack of offensive rebounds and the lack of generating fouls for a guy, that's 6'8", 6'9", right? Well, it's okay, well, if you're taking half of your attempts from three-point range, one, you're not drawing contact because you're not being aggressive to the basket, and two, you're not getting offensive rebounds because you're out on the perimeter, right? So a lot of the knocks even for Dixon, I don't think are real knocks, right? Because again, the Lakers would utilize him as a pick and pop, on a small ball unit, right? Have him be a stretch big for you out there on the basketball court, but also could be a guy that can slot in behind LeBron James, right? Where Rui Hachimura, you have to start at this point because of his age or because of his contract, because of how good he's been. Age too, right? But a guy like Eric Dixon is a guy that you can have be on the bench for the next few years, and it's not a big deal, right? He's not going to come in and demand being a starter. I'm not saying Rui demands starting, but he is one of your better players, right? And if the Lakers end up trading Rui, one, you're going to be solving a starting position of need, and then two, right, Lakers are probably going to go get an Andrew Wiggins or another perimeter defensive piece, whether it's in free agency or in a backup. And I don't think Dorian Finney-Smith is going anywhere. There's talks about Dorian Finney-Smith, but one, he would make more money just by opting in than he would on the taxpayer mid or the full mid-level exception. Full mid-level is actually less than what he would make just by opting in. So if he wanted money, then he might as well just stay in. If he wants long-term money, right, well, the Lakers could give that to him, right? So he could opt out and sign a new deal, which is what I expected him to do. I think, and I don't think he's leaving because you got Luka, right? He wanted to play with Luka again. Luka wanted to play with him again. They're best friends, right? Lakers will probably give him, a 4-year, $60 million deal or something like that. And we'll be off to the races and fine. And he might even start for the Lakers, right? Because, if the Lakers go and trade for Nick Claxton, you're probably going to need somebody to slot in at the wing position. And Dorian Finney-Smith can be that for you, right? And have a Luka, Reeves, Doe, Claxton, we'll just use him as an example, and LeBron James as your starting 5, and then now you need to start carving out the bench, right? And in that process, again, you might lose a Rui Hachimura, well, probably for sure losing Rui Hachimura in a trade like that, maybe even a Jared Vanderbilt, right? Lakers, I imagine, would make some other moves, some other trades, right? So Regardless, the Lakers are probably going to make multiple moves this offseason, or at least that's the expectation, and the Lakers are active in that. And when you lose a guy in Rui Hachimura, you need somebody that can replace him. Now, Rui isn't this like lockdown defensive piece, right? Like he's also a guy that's slotted out of position, but it's hard for him to really get the amount of minutes necessary because LeBron James has to play the 4 at this stage of his career, right? I've talked about this for years, right? LeBron is a 4 at this stage of his career, right? So Rui is never going to be able to get the minutes as long as LeBron is on this team. And I've seen people say, we'll keep Rui for when LeBron leaves. We have no idea when that is, right? And so is he going to wait around on LeBron? Like if LeBron comes out and is like, hey, this is going to be my last year, then sure, maybe Rui would be like, all right, I'll stick around. But I don't think it will be, right? Because his other son, right, Bryce, he'll be in the NBA next season. Right, so chances are he's probably playing at least 2 more years. And if Rui picks up, like, is Rui going to be okay with coming off the bench? Because we can't keep having him start. I love Rui; he's fantastic, but we can't keep having him start when we have Luka and Austin Reeves slotted alongside him. You're going to have the same issues you've had for the last 3 years because you have no defense, right? You have no athleticism out on the perimeter, right? Getting Athero, I think, is huge. Yes, he needs to work on his offense. He needs to work on his shooting, but he's a hyper athlete that can defend. He's basically like a souped up Jared Vanderbilt, right? And he's a better rim finisher, right? He's a better lob threat, right? So he even has better tools than Jared Vanderbilt in a lot of ways. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt, when he's at his best, is like elite defensively, right? Arguably the best defense player in all of basketball when he's, or perimeter defender in all of basketball. And the numbers back it up when he's healthy and on, right? But, you get a guy in Athero, right? Like, 1, it makes Jared Vanderbilt expendable, but 2, it gives you some athleticism. Like, I've talked very heavily. Forget the, like, hey, we need two-way guys, all that stuff. We do, without a doubt. I'm not saying don't get that, but I'm saying if the Lakers just solely added athleticism, it would do wonders for this team. Guys that can get after it, chase down loose balls, grab the long rebounds, right? Just do the dirty work and hustle. Right? Like, again, look at a team like OKC. They're not a big team, but they have a bunch of guys that scrap. They're not like this super over elite 3-point shooting team. They don't even take as many threes as some of the other teams. Right? They're just winning on hustle, grit, turnovers, creating more shots. How did they beat Indiana in Game 7? I mean, outside of Tyrese Halliburton going down. Right? They created 14 more field goal attempts through rebounds and creating turnovers. Right? And it's just through their athleticism and just having a bunch of guys that are relentless pit bulls. Right? Not all those guys are great 3-point shooters. A lot of them aren't great. Right? So, again, like, just adding a guy like Thero would do wonders for this Lakers team because he's a guy that's going to come in. How are you going to get minutes? By just being a athletic menace out there. Right? And I think he could be that. Rui Hachimura, if he ends up getting traded, Eric Dixon, how can you be that? You basically be that guy off the bench that gives us the production of Rui, or to an extent. I don't expect him to be as good as Rui, especially right out the gate, but can he be, a half version of Rui, right? Can he be half of what Rui is, right? And he's also more athletic than Rui. Right? Now, again, defensively, he's not great. He's not as bad as people make him out to be. Again, it's kind of hard when you're out on the perimeter all game. I think the Lakers will slot him in better pieces and better places. Plus, he has the tools to be, I don't think he's going to be a lead or a great defensive piece, but I think he will be at least serviceable. He can't be much worse than Rui Hachimura was. So, and he's a guy that would actually be able to be slotted in. Because you got to keep in mind, he wouldn't be defending athletic 3s, he'd be defending 4s, which he just matches up so much better with, and maybe even some 5s, which, again, he matches up so much better with because he is 260, 265. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.